Top of the morning to you awakening warriors. This is Revolution. In this video, we're going to have Ultra Ego Vegeta versus all 12 Gods of Destructions. All 12 Gods of Destructions at once? Revolution? No. You sadistic son of a guns. I would have to really hate Vegeta to put him against all 12 Gods of Destructions. But this video is more about where he would rank amongst the Gods of Destructions. So we have the strongest God of Destruction, the weakest God of Destruction, the 10 Gods of Destructions in between that. Where would Vegeta fit in a ranking system of Gods of Destructions? That's what this video is about. Now, I was going to do a video based on a true Ultra Ego Vegeta and what that would entail, and I'm going to be doing that video soon, but I came up with this idea whilst making that video of where would he actually rank amongst these Gods of Destructions. He isn't the only mortal to be able to have reached this realm. We know that other characters from not just Universe 7 but other universes have as well, but we'll discuss that in this video. Before we do that, let me know down in the comment section what you thought of chapter 91 of the Dragon Ball Super manga. Did you enjoy it? Or did you not? Is it a good adaptation of the superhero movie or is it not? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section. Have your say. Make sure you subscribe to the channel with all notifications clicked on. Smash that like button, then the die shanking your energy. Your continued support is truly appreciated. So Vegeta versus the Gods of Destructions, how would he fare? Who would he be too strong for? Who wouldn't he be quite at the level of? That is what we're going to delve into this video, but it's really important for me that these videos start as a startup for new discussions and new dialectic within the community. That's what I do these videos for, so please do make sure you have your say down in the comment section. I want to know exactly where you think Vegeta fits in to the God of Destruction hierarchy of power levels, you could say. Now, I did release a video a week or two ago based on the Gods of Destructions, and you could say that video is somewhat of a prerequisite for this video in terms of the information I provide. I don't want to keep going into it all over and over again, but it's based on, are all the Gods of Destructions at the same level in terms of their raw power? Now, at the moment, a lot of my videos are mostly manga based in terms of Dragon Ball Super, but I do like to touch upon what happened in the anime every now and again. So we'll do the same in this video. Obviously, Ultra Ego Vegeta hasn't appeared in the anime yet, but I guess we can have a overview of what Toriyama's intentions are based on all the source material we have to date. And guys, I really just want to stop hearing this, oh, you can't compare the manga and the anime. That's not necessarily what we're doing. We're looking for the overall vision of this story propagated to us by the original creators, Toriyama, Toyotaro, Toei, whatever we can get from these guys that may align. If you want to do traditional power scaling, which I have no problem with, by the way, guys, I've got hundreds of videos on my channel that do this. Yes, the anime and the manga scaling is different, but there is an overall intention, vision, ideal behind what is happening throughout the through line of the narrative of this story. Now, obviously, that takes a lot of nuance and discussion to figure out, and I'm always propagating traditional power scaling, but sometimes they don't align. The intention from the authors and the way the fandom use power scaling as a measuring tool don't always align. They are not intertwined. Now, just to get back onto the video topic, obviously, what we know about Ultra Ego Vegeta is that he was able to compete against a character that was too strong for Ultra Instinct Goku. Now, this is a Granola Arc Ultra Instinct Goku. Granola Arc Ultra Instinct Goku is stronger than Perfected Ultra Instinct Goku that defeated Moro, and that Ultra Instinct Goku and Moro are stronger than the Ultra Instinct Goku from the Tournament of Power. Whilst this was a big debate for years, it's pretty conclusive at this point that Beerus has not been surpassed by the current Ultra level Saiyans, Goku and Vegeta, which ultimately puts Beerus above anything we've seen before in terms of what mortals have produced, and goes hand in hand really with what was propagated during the God of Destruction Battle Royale, that Beerus is one of the two strongest Gods of Destructions out of the whole set. But not being at Beerus's level in particular doesn't necessarily mean you're not in that table of power levels amongst the Gods of Destructions. The other God of Destruction I'm talking about is Quintella. Beerus and Quintella in the manga were generally hitted as the two strongest Gods of Destructions. They were the two last remaining Gods of Destruction standing after a whole battle royal of God of Destructions fighting each other. Beerus has been implied to be one of the strongest Gods of Destructions many times. Goku Black said he was the most troublesome God of Destruction. Quintella singled Beerus out in terms of who was the strongest God of Destruction, and he even stated when they were the two remaining God of Destructions, he knew Beerus would be one of them. Beerus himself his performance in that battle royale. He had speed feats, power feats, battle feats, you name it. Basically, Beerus was impressive in that battle royale, and we know that the Gods of Destructions were going full power because of the warning given by the Grand Priest. Even Beerus, before the whole battle royale, he stated that unless they all take him on at once, they can't do anything to him. Look, obviously, the Beerus debate's been going on a long time. It's been covered many times, especially on this channel. Ultimately, what really puts Beerus above most of these characters is the fact that he still scales above Ultra Ego Vegeta. So clearly Vegeta would not top this God of Destruction ranking. What puts him above Ultra Ego Vegeta is Vegeta got his ass whooped in Super Saiyan Blue Evolved against Beerus at the beginning of the Granola arc. Beerus merely demonstrated a small part of his power, and Vegeta said he wants that power. After attaining Hakai and achieving Ultra Ego, after being defeated by Granola after Granola unleashed his new power-up, Vegeta stated that he couldn't acquire the level of power of a God of Destruction like Beerus, essentially. Now, there are theories that Beerus has trained since the Tournament of Power and so forth, and I have done a video on that as well on my channel. Does Beerus even need training? Check that out if you get the time. It goes into whether there's any evidence for Beerus training, and at best there's scintillas of evidence. It's not particularly strong, and Beerus, even way back at the beginning of the Universal Survival arc, stated himself as a goalpost for Goku and Vegeta that would take millions of years for them to achieve at their current level. So Beerus is stronger than Ultra Ego Vegeta as it currently stands. So if you really did want to put him against all 12 Gods of Destructions, guys, if you're really that sadistic, if you really hate Vegeta that much, well, you wouldn't even be able to beat the strongest God of Destruction, and likely, I don't think you'd be able to beat Kitella either, as Kitella is somewhat relative to Beerus. Now, sorting the rest of the Gods of Destructions out in terms of their ranking amongst each other isn't particularly easy. It's probably easier to sort out who are the weaker ones, though, out of the rest of them. Now, what we do know is that Jiren has surpassed Belmod in power. Now, interestingly, I saw a post by Pride Wave, who's been on this channel before, stating that people have suggested that Jiren never surpassed any God of Destruction. It is literally in the manga that Jiren surpassed Belmod in terms of power. At best, you could make the argument that Belmod has other techniques that will give Jiren trouble. But in terms of raw power, I think it was pretty blatantly obvious that Jiren was supposed to be stronger than Belmod. Even if you go to the anime of the Tournament of Power, Belmod is panicking when Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta uses the Final Flash and amps his power using that power amping technique. He's worried about Jiren, even though Jiren is stronger than him, because he only has his own power to base how strong Jiren is, because Jiren, as we now know, is just simply efficient. He won't use more power than necessary. But even if we were to do a table of God of Destructions and we put Jiren in it, who's quite a few arcs ago now, and obviously we're not talking about current Jiren, we're talking about the Tournament of Power Jiren. If we were to use that Jiren, he wouldn't be bottom of this particular table. And I'm not saying Belmod definitely is, because once again it's really hard based on the manga to really distinguish whereabouts Belmod lies, but I don't think it is particularly high. I think he is one of the weaker Gods of Destructions. Now guys, like I mentioned earlier in the video, I did do a video, are they all the same power? They do all seem to have techniques that can impact other Gods of Destructions, but that's not necessarily a feat for raw power. They are generally hacks abilities. For example, Rumshi, the God of Destruction of Universe 10, he can use a sound attack that can affect God of Destruction level powers. But at the end of the day, at the business end of that battle royale, he still got his tusks rocked by a cat, Beerus. But at the end of the day, at the business end of that battle royale, he still got his tusks rocked by a cat, Beerus. And as I've said in a few videos before, I now look at match-defining moments within fights to really use as absolute feats in terms of scaling, because characters in Dragon Ball have always been able to hit stronger characters or even lightly damage stronger characters. That's not necessarily a means to say, well, this character is equal to this character because they landed a hit. I think that kind of power scaling needs to die now. I think it's overstayed its welcome and it's not congruent to what we are actually seeing in the series. And there is nothing more demonstrative of this concept than in the latest superhero movie when we watch the Z Warriors vs Cell Max. But I digress. In terms of where Belmod lies, like I said, saying he's the weakest God of Destruction may be harsh. It could be, but it would be harsh. What we do know is that Beerus told Vegeta in chapter 28 of the Dragon Ball Super manga is that even at completed Super Saiyan Blue levels, or is it Perfected Super Saiyan Blue? I can't remember all the names now. At that level in Chapter 28, after the Future Trunks saga, that he could be a God of Destruction candidate in another universe. What do we know about God of Destruction candidates? Well, Topo is a God of Destruction candidate in another universe, and that is for Universe 11. So Beerus stating that this level of power could be a candidate for another universe is likely referring to Universe 11, as that Vegeta was also relative to that version of Topo. So he would likely be able to be a God of Destruction candidate for that universe, even though there is another stronger mortal in that universe called Jiren, who surpasses their God of Destruction. Looking at the God of Destruction Battle Royale, Belmod did manage to trap all the Gods of Destructions momentarily, but it was broken out of by Licker, who used a 9-tail attack and got out of it with ease. Then Belmod feigned injury until the end of the tournament. I've said for years that doesn't fill me with confidence on Belmod's power, but some people who were trying to push the Jiren as the strongest agenda tried to say it was him just, being smart. I mean, it could work both ways really, but I don't think after the superhero comments from Vegeta we can really put Belmod and Jiren at those kind of levels anymore. But looking at that tournament in terms of who the weakest was, Belmod's the only one really who has something substantial to say, yes, he's one of the weakest. Maybe you could say Sidra is too because of his portrayal in the anime, but in the manga he managed to use a barrier technique that was able to even block Beerus' attack that was stated to be able to seriously damage a number of Gods of Destructions, and Belmod was in that number as well. But was that just that it was a barrier attack and Sidra is implied to be a barrier specialist? It could just be that his technique of barriers is at that level. And one of the Gods of Destructions that could be the weakest is Ivan. When watching the Goku vs Topo match, when Goku turns Super Saiyan God and is fighting against Topo, who's also casting the aura of God Ki, he states that is already at the level of his gods. So is he implying that that battle is at the level of the lower Gods of Destructions? We know it's not at Beerus' level, but it could be at the lower end of the spectrum of the Gods of Destructions. Ivan also lasts till near the end of that particular God of Destruction exhibition, because he is knocked out by Catella. Even after the Tournaments of Power going into the Broly movie, some of the producers did state that Goku, with his Super Saiyan Blue transformation, was close to that of a God of Destruction. Once again, we know that's not now referring to Beerus, but it could have been referring to the lower end of the spectrum Gods of Destructions. Maybe the Gods of Destructions at the lower end really are around blue levels. After all, we now know that Jiren's power wasn't that much stronger than the blue levels of Goku and Vegeta. So the lower tier Gods of Destructions, like Belmod, would have been at blue levels if not slightly above. Maybe if there are weaker Gods of Destructions than Belmod, maybe they are God level, and maybe Ivan's one of them. So getting a rating of these Gods of Destructions further, I would look at maybe Moscow, who was able to manhandle two Gods of Destructions at once in Licker and Helez. We know that while Champa is weaker than Beerus, doesn't shy away from fighting Beerus, especially in the anime, even though they are just scuffles that we see. I think it's in episode 27 and episode 70, the Yamcha baseball episode. He doesn't shy away from fighting Beerus, so conceptually he might not be that far behind Beerus. It might just be that he's out of shape. We do see Champa knocking somebody out as well. I think it's God of Destruction Sidra, so clearly his barrier technique has its limits. We don't see every God of Destruction get KO'd, but we do know they're all on the floor at the end, and we do know Belmod's feigning his injury, but he did that way early in the tournament, so he wasn't really involved in the fighting. He doesn't have any feats in his favour. If I had to say the third and fourth strongest God of Destruction, I'd probably say it's out of Moscow and Rumshi, as they seem to last the next longest, and then followed by maybe Champa. The degrees of power between all these Gods of Destructions, who knows? And those third, fourth and fifth positions, they could go either way really. There's not something really concrete where I can say they're definitely in those positions. I just think that Beerus and Catella are definitely the two strongest. So could Vegeta compete with, say, a Moscow or a Rumshi or a Champa? It would be interesting to know whether he could fight against Champa. I think that would be an interesting occurrence in the future. Maybe we'll get to see that. But we know for a fact he's stronger than Belmod, because Ultra Ego Vegeta is equivalent to, if not stronger than, a version of Goku that's stronger than the version of Goku that ultimately rivaled Jiren in the manga and defeated Jiren in the anime. The Dragon Ball official website's also confirmed as well that Jiren got serious against Ultra Instinct Saiyan Goku, and we know that Ultra Instinct Saiyan Goku against Moro was no match whatsoever, and Super Saiyan Blue Evolved Vegeta using 4 Spirit Fission was a match for Prime Moro, and Ultra Ego Vegeta is a lot stronger than that version of Moro. So, I mean, it's pretty comfortable in that regard. So, Vegeta with Ultra Ego, is vastly stronger than the weakest God of Destruction. But this is the question, guys, is where do you think he would rank amongst the other Gods of Destruction? Do you think there's something I may have missed in this video? Something that may make him comparable to another God of Destruction in particular? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section. And how far do you think he's got till he catches Beerus? Obviously, Beerus told him at completed Super Saiyan Blue he was millions of years behind, but since then, he's unlocked Blue Evolution, he's unlocked Ultra Ego, and he's continued to get stronger. Given Vegeta's comments, he's not at Beerus' level yet, but is he closing in on it? Like I said, if you check out all the Gods of Destruction the same power level, it may give you a bit more information on certain things I've said in this video if you think I've left something out, but keep an eye out for the True Ultra Ego Vegeta video that I've got coming up, and make sure you make your thoughts heard down in the comment section. I really look forward to reading your answers. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. Until next time, Ad Astra.